Hey, it's Jehozebo, and we are playing The Sims 2 Ultimate Collection in Harkerville. And I just wanted to recap because there were some people who didn't know where we were and which Sims were actually born here and which Sims were created in the Create a Sim. So I wanted to give a brief overview of Harkerville and let you know who is who and everything. Now, if you see this neighborhood, you can tell I don't know that much about decorating. The lots kind of blur into one another except for that they have fences. I love having a fence around a neighborhood. So that's the first thing that you're going to learn about me is that I like to have a fence around each house because I don't like it when stray dogs come in and dig in your yard. I hate that. Okay, so when we first started, we created Harkers, Jedediah and Martha, and I wanted to name them this, Jedediah and Martha, because they were like old-fashioned, right? And so their costume is old-fashioned. She wears a long skirt, and he wears basically as plain an outfit as I could have, because I wanted them to be like maybe Mennonites or something, or Amish, not Amish, but from the Midwest, and I wanted, Harker, Jedediah Harker. I wanted them to be old-fashioned, and everybody in this town is going to be a family sim or a knowledge sim, and maybe they'll start as one and switch back and forth. But when I started this, I didn't have a rule that you had to be educated. And now I've got a mod that says if you're not educated, you can't get beyond level 5 in your career. Obviously, Jed and Martha are mad scientists, and they weren't educated. But I grandfathered them in, so I also used one of the mods to give them retroactively a college degree. So they have a college degree even though they don't actually have the sheepskin. And they have what is known as the original Harkerville default personality. So let me explain that. And you can see this by what she's wearing, that they are old-fashioned. And I like that, because I'm old-fashioned, right? But I wanted to show you the default, let's pause it. I wanted to show you the default Harkerville personality. So this is a 4 in neatness. And what that means is that when they finish eating, they might put the dirty plate on the nearest counter and walk away. And it might be that they only ate part of their meal and then they just put the plate somewhere. Now, the De Silvas, who were the second family, don't have a 4 here. They have a 5 here. And they're not quite, I think they're not quite as nice. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll look at the De Silvas. But this was the original personality, 46906. And I think we changed that to 56806. But we'll see. But this was the original Harkerville personality, and I have to say, most Sims in Harkerville get along very well, and the seriousness really helps them out. It doesn't mean that they can't play around. Everybody in Harkerville loves to play red hands. They like to read. They like to, they do things that are serious. But if somebody's too playful, likes to play practical jokes, they don't like it. They just don't like it. And so I don't think I ever deliberately make someone playful, but there have been times when a child is born with some playfulness and we put up with it. You know what I mean? We put up with it. Now I don't want to save any changes. Didn't mean for it to be unpaused when I joined. So that's the Harkerville default personality. Let me turn the music down a little bit. That's better. There we go. Okay, so the family bin, in case you don't know, anybody in the family bin, the children could actually come home with your child on the bus. And that happened in this town, where when the Flurgenhell boys met Ginger Newsom, she was in the bin, and turns out she doesn't have a phone because she doesn't have a house. And so that led to a whole thing where I had to move her into a house, and we'll get into that. But so if you meet someone in a neighborhood community lot and they don't answer, they don't have a phone, it's possible that they were in the family bin. And if you really want to play them, you're going to need to move them into a house. Or if you at least want to be friends with them, you're going to need to move them into a house so you can call them on the phone. So the Harkers were first, and the De Silvas were next. And it took a while for the De Silvas and the Harkers to become friends because their personalities are different. And I was just seeing at that point what kind of personalities worked the best. And as you can see, they are a 5, 6, 8, 0, 5. And because they're a 5 and nice and not a 6, they're neater. They're the kind who, when they finish a meal, they take the plate and put it in the sink and wash it immediately. And that's the difference between a 4 and a 5. And because they're not as nice as the Harkers, they don't like the Harkers. They just didn't put up with them. The Harkers were just like the Harkers would burp and laugh, and the De Silvas, not being very nice, they just found that uncouth. It's just that little bit. That is the difference. But they're both Gemini, but it's just a little bit different. And that's enough difference. Now, if I made the De Silvas, if I gave them one more nice point, that would be good. That would be good for them. But you know what? They're very successful. They're at the top of the science career. It's just I need to get them socialized more with the rest of the neighborhood. And they're just that. They're neater, and they're not as nice, just by 1 point. And it made a difference. So if your Sims are vastly different personality-wise, there will be conflict, and you'll try to give them a compliment. Hey, I admire you. And they'll go, oh, give me a break. And you're like, what's wrong with you? But you'll find that if the personalities don't mesh, or if someone is not nice, they won't accept a compliment. It's really interesting. So the De Silvas, they're from either South America or Spain. And then the Comillas are from the East. And they also have either the default personality or something very close to it. So let's take a look at the Comilla family. Not the children, because they change. But you can see he's a 5, 6, 8, 0, 6. So that's interesting. Yeah, so he's an 8 active. So I gave him one less active point so that I could keep the 6 nice and the 5 neat. So instead of a 4 like the Harkers, he's a 5 like the De Silvas. but instead of a 5 in niceness, he's a 6. And so I believe that this should be the default. I think that if you're going to make families that are going to be knowledge sims and family sims, that this really just can't be beat. That's 56806. Now, again, they're all Gemini, and maybe um, by giving them vastly different personalities, uh, you can create drama. And maybe that's a good thing. And I was discussing it with in my live stream with my audience. And yeah, drama can be a good thing, but it can also make it difficult because if you're too shy, you won't get along with the people as much, and it'll be harder to make friends. And if if you're not active enough, you won't get out of bed quickly, and things like that. If you're not neat enough, you won't clean up after yourself. If you're very sloppy, whenever you get out of the shower, you're going to leave water all over the floor. it's, it's kind of funny that way. So that is the Komiya family, and that really 56806 really should be the default. So the Harkers and the De Silvas were kind of experiments, and you could see that because they were 1 point off. Now active, someone being an 8 versus 9 active isn't gonna make them not get along with somebody else. And that's the key. That's the key. So that's the point to lose. If you want to be a 9 active, well, yeah, maybe that's good. If you want to be in a an athlete or something like that. But if you want to be an athlete, you should be a 10, I think, and you should be outgoing. So yeah, that's interesting. And then of course the Kamiyas had children. Toma was the first son, and so his personality is slightly different. And then Hondo was the second son, and the Babazinwe family, they had Martha, who now lives here, Martha Flurgenhell. She married Lars, and they had a couple of kids who were living over there with the Keatons, and then they had 2 more children who, because of the what do they call it, the I don't know, clone bug, something like that. They were clones of the first 2 children. Now I'm using a mod that gets rid of the cloning issue, so if they have more children, they won't be clones, and that's a good thing. That's a very good thing. And their first nanny was Grace Diamond, and Grace wasn't a diamond at that point, but she was there to be their nanny, and Frankie was there just as a lodger. His mother was staying with Delilah O'Keefe, and then when Frankie got back from university, he moved back in with the Flurgenhells, and then he asked Grace to marry him, so they moved out. And then the Flurgenhells asked Brandy if she would be their nanny, and she said yes if you send me to university first. So she went to university, came back with the degree, and then became the nanny for Loki and Thor. And the Ramaswamis were popularity sims, but then when the Newson children needed somewhere to stay, they became family sims in order to provide for the Newson kids. And so the Newson kids were in this family bin. Excuse me. We're in the family bin, and we moved them into the Ramaswamy house. So that really is just so that Ginger could move in with the De Silvas. Yeah. Let's see, who else? There were 5 Parker brothers living with their dad, Danny Parker. And they lived at the Flurgan house. And then the boys all split up. 2 of the boys went to live with the Harkers. And those 2 boys are with the Harkers' daughters in university. 2 of the boys are living with the De Silva children. And we should play them so that we can get them aged up and done with university already, because Felix Parker was one of the 5 boys, and he's already back from university. So the lives are kind of out of sync now, because some of the Parker brothers are already back. 2 of the Parker brothers are with the De Silvas, and we haven't played them in a while, and I haven't streamed them at all. And then 2 of the brothers are in university, and I'd like to stream them. But next week, well, this coming Saturday at 10:30 a.m. Central Daylight Time, that's Texas time, I'll be live streaming this neighborhood again, and potentially we'll see if the Parkers, if Felix and Annika will get married, and if Hondo and Cecily will get married. And that'll be great. And so join me, and if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. It really helps me out. It helps me know that people are watching and that people like my content. After all, this would just not be fun if people weren't watching. Gotta say, it's why I do it. It's why I do it. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you Saturday. Bye.